Is Russia developing a new type of GPS jamming weapon that's more powerful than anything we've seen before? And has it already been tested against NATO? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's get to the bottom of this story. Okay, so earlier this month, a huge swath of Poland, Lithuania, and a number of other Baltic countries reported massive internet outages. Let's see if we can get the image up here. So right here, the red represents GPS outages reported as far south as Warsaw, but seemingly originating in Kaliningrad. And what's interesting, of course, is that this appears to be sort of a targeted GPS outage hitting just the Polish border with Lithuania. And the reason this is such a disturbing story is that it's believed by many analysts that this is not an accidental GPS outage or a simple mechanical fault. In fact, there's a lot of speculation that this is Russian facilitated. And the reason is that the jam appears to be man-made, right? It appeared to start at, according to one analyst, about 9:20 Zulu time, and ran on high effect for just a short while. But what's worrying, and you can see here's a different video from X that depicts the weapon actually shutting down GPS kind of across this network. You can see it trying to disrupt GPS signals in various regions. And it is a massive multi-country region. You can see that it covers an area right here. Look at the original GPS signal. Let's start here. Here's the original GPS network, and then watch how it degrades over time. And you can see it attritting, actually grinding down the GPS signal strength. But look, here's Ukraine. So this is an area that it seems to be able to attrit well greater than the whole area of Ukraine. This is a tremendously powerful weapon, if that's indeed what this is. And there's a belief among analysts, including Swedish intelligence, that this was Russia testing an electronic warfare weapon in Kaliningrad. And of course, this isn't the first time, right? Even earlier in January, there was limited GPS jamming detected on the eastern and southeastern parts of Finland that, again, is attributed to Russian activities. While there's no direct proof of Moscow's involvement, it's been very well established that Russia has a significant interest in not just disrupting the NATO members and conducting a campaign of harassment. We've certainly seen that. But what's more significant is Russia has a tremendous desire to disrupt and destroy the GPS tracking system. The reason, of course, is that you guys know Ukrainians depend heavily on Starlink. And other GPS satellite facilitated technologies. So my own theory is that this is a sort of final test of a weapon that I suspect actually is likely more powerful than Russia perhaps intended it to be. They also point out that, of course, Russian GPS jamming is currently in the field at a smaller scale. They use it to attempt to disrupt the HIMARS, Excalibur, JDAMs, and also other GPS-guided cluster munitions. And so for Russia, what they may want to do is turn what's currently like a localized weapon of dubious effectiveness into what I think is a larger an area weapon where they can prepare their forces to say, hey, get out your paper maps because your GPS is about to go down. We're about to drop GPS across all of Kiev or all of Ukraine. And that way, their troops will know that the risk of things like HIMARS or GPS-guided drones, because remember, GPS is how drones know their location most of the time. And by disabling those smart munitions, Russia can help even the battlefield or tilt it in their favor. Now, if you guys are looking to tilt your New Year's resolutions and your fitness goals in your favor, or just have the energy to crush it, you might be thinking, you might have been spending all your money on these $4 energy drinks, right? And they're super expensive. They have a ton of calories, literally 41 grams of sugar in this thing. And don't get me wrong, I drank a lot of Red Bulls when I was in the military, but finally, I have engineered a better solution. This is StrikeGum. StrikeGum is the energy drink alternative, 0 sugar, right? 90 milligrams of caffeine in every single piece, 100 milligrams of alpha GPC, a nootropic that to enhance cognitive function further. And it's all in this one compact piece of gum. So if you're interested, right, check out StrikeGum.com. We have a 10% discount for military. We also have, if you've never tried it before, we have a first-time customer discount. We'll give you another 10% off. So check it out, StrikeGum.com. And of course, thank you to the thousands of StrikeGum customers who've already picked some up and left us a 5-star review. So now, here's the thing. Institute for the Study of War has also brought this up. And they are a little more explicit, right? Calling this a GPS jam. And now the Polish media speculates that those earlier outages, right, before before January 10th, there was actually some Christmas time outages. They speculated that it might have been a NATO military exercise in the Baltic region, but I'm not familiar with any kind of NATO GPS jamming technology. And if they wanted to simulate such a weapon, they could simply just tell NATO troops to turn off their GPS. It's much easier to do that than to disable and disrupt civilian traffic, which could, potentially create a safety hazard, right? NATO generally is not going to do this sort of thing. Imagine, again, if let's say a train or a aircraft, right, was navigating a civilian aircraft near one of these exercises, and NATO accidentally shut down all GPS guidance. Well, suddenly those aircraft are now blind. Suddenly those trains don't know where they are or where other trains are. So they would create a dangerous situation, and that's just not something that NATO militaries are going to do. It's just not how they operate. But Russia has no problem doing such a thing to NATO countries who they view as kind of hostile. The Swedish lieutenant colonel, right, they quote explicitly said that the GPS interference are the result of Russian influence activities or so-called hybrid warfare, noting that Russia previously interfered with GPS signals in Northern Europe, actually protecting some Russian activities taking place in Murmansk. And that it actually is sometimes done by Russia to disrupt NATO exercises, which itself is sort of interesting because if Russia is spying on those exercises, they may want to know, how does NATO deal with a GPS outage, which of course would be interesting given that they're currently fighting against NATO-trained brigades. Now, Russian media are actually saying that the Russian Baltic Fleet has started a new type of electronic warfare system called the Boris Geblesks since mid-December, but it can't be verified if this system is really what they're trying to use. So anyway, is it a potential game changer? I think it could be. The $1 million question is not how much does Ukraine depend on GPS, because we know that they do. The question is, how much does Russia need GPS? And if Russia can find a way to fight in the dark, so to speak, without GPS technologies, then they may find that it's better to just simply knock out the GPS, because if it degrades their combat command by 20% and it degrades Ukrainian combat abilities by 50%, well, then Russia's going to take that deal every day of the week. Anyway, that is all I had, guys. Thank you so much to our Colonel tier members and our Lieutenant tier members of CombatVetNews.com. And of course, hit like and subscribe on the video. Tell the YouTube algorithm that this is good content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.